Welcome back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. We're only a few hours removed from what was a chaotic event at Ignite Wrestling, and wrestling did indeed cross the line. More on that as we get it, but we can't take away from one excellent event, a showcase event for Ignite to put on their first show in 2026, and it was an incredible event. Big thanks to everyone that packed out Shenley Road. 96 Shenley Road was packed to the rafters, not a spare seat in their house. I think you'll find that they were very happy with what they saw yesterday, for the majority anyway. We'll get into everything at the end after the show. But nevertheless, let's get on with it. They say in wrestling you need to start a match or start a show off hot. I think we're still on fire from the opening contest. It was CPF, Danny Black and Joe Lando versus the First Class Flyers. And geez, that just a team name alone says exactly what this match was. This was a thrill a minute contest. CPF, one of the best tag teams in Europe, definitely. People are surprised they're not signed, to a top company. Yeah, I totally agree with that. These two teams put on one hell of an opening contest. First Class Flyers have been wrestling 6 months. Look like they were wrestling 6 years with this. It was an unbelievable match. Excitement, high flying moves. They were flying around all over the place. Poor ref Nick needed the interval after this first match. It really was an unbelievable tag team wrestling showcase for you. The crowd, this is awesome. Ignite Wrestling, and even a please come back chant for the First Class Flyers. That tell you, you don't get that often. I'll be honest with you. I've been going to Ignite events since 2023, and I've only heard a please come back chant. I think that was the third one that I've heard in my time going to Ignite Wrestling. So, you have to be a bit special to get that chant. And my God, what a First Class Flyers, that bit special. Obviously, CPF are fantastic. You know that anyway. And it was the aforementioned CPF that picked up the victory after 15 incredible minutes that flew by. Some amazing spots in this match as well. When it gets uploaded to Spinebuster Media, I urge you all to go and check it out. Honestly, one of the best tag team matches. I mean, me and CJ Carter did say this on the preview that it was probably going to be match of one of the matches of the year, and I think they absolutely delivered. We're in that for sure. So congratulations to CPF, and we hope definitely that the First Class Flyers are back at 96 Shenley Road very soon. As of course we want CPF. They're always welcome back to the show. You can imagine backstage at this point, it was kind of like, well, how do you follow that? And that fell to Denzel Mack and to Tom Mercer. Tom Mercer works the crowd fantastically well. And you kind of expected, you did kind of expect a dip in the crowd, not because the match wasn't going to be any good, but because obviously they needed time to breathe after that first contest. I think we all needed time to breathe after that. But no, Tom Mercer decided straight away to pick on a fan, ripped his foam hand, and the crowd that we thought were going to be dead just come alive. Well, not dead, but dropping down a bit after that, getting their breath back, just come alive. They were all over Tom Mercer at this point. Denzel Mack come out with another foam hand to give back to the kid. Isaac, hope you're happy that you got your foam hand back. And then the match itself, and it was such a contrast between that first high flying craziness of the first match to this more of it was a slow paced match for sure. And it was just a slugfest in many ways between these two. Denzel Mack massively impressed on this one. I mean, he impressed a lot last year when Ignite had him last year. There's no doubt about that. I know he is predominantly a tag team wrestler with Black and Gold with a guy called Lincoln Spector, who we see quite often at DKW. Um, But it was a real showcase. I mean, for Lincoln, for Denzel Mack, it was a real opportunity for him to come and show Shenley Road actually what he's made of. Because a lot of times, obviously, he was at Ignite, he was in a multi-man match, and sometimes you don't get that opportunity to really showcase. Tom Mercer for everything that he does wrong at Ignite, and we'll get into a lot of that at the end. This was a prime example. Last year was kind of Tom Mercer's sort of breakout opportunity. Without winning the breakout, he broke into it, and he'd been at Ignite previously to the breakout, obviously with Taylor James. Um, but this last year was kind of his breakout year, without being successful in the actual tournament. So he's kind of established now. Denzel Mack's trying to establish himself at Shenley Road, and these two put on, I called it a real tug of war, really, between these two. I really, really enjoyed it. It was a really fun match. Surprise, again, it's not being disrespectful when we say we was expecting the crowd to come down in this, but because Tom Mercer works a crowd so well, he brought the crowd into it. Denzel Mack brought the excitement as well. The fans are really behind Denzel. They really dislike Tom, and there's no reason to like him, to be quite honest with you. But he brought the crowd with him, and they were up for this. And Denzel delivered a really strong performance, as did Tom in this. And ultimately, Denzel Mack picks up a victory here at Ignite now, and now there's maybe an opportunity for Denzel to get a first title shot. We know. There was a lot of people signaling for titles last night. Denzel wasn't one of them, I will say. However, what I will say is Denzel absolutely has put himself in the title picture, as Tom would have done himself had he had been victorious in this. But Denzel Mack with a burning hammer cutter. Now, Tom Mercer, he's called Tall Tom. We joke that he's Tiny Tom, Tom Thumb, and whatever else. Um, he's a big guy. He's 6 foot 4, 5. And Denzel Mack had him on his shoulders, into a cutter for a victory. That looked mightily impressive. I will say that for certain. That looked very impressive from Denzel Mack, and that match itself was very, considering where you've just come off of that match, to keep the crowd invested, to put on such a really, as I said, a tug of war, really. It kept everybody in it. We kept us in it at the back. We were like, wow, this is actually, not that we was expecting a bad match, but again, you've got to remember what you're following, right? Really, really solid match, and Denzel Mack picking up the victory and perhaps puts himself in championship contention. Who knows? It's early morning. I need the cup of Joe to continue. Right, now, the next match on the show was our Turnbuckle Championship match. And for those of you that hadn't seen the news in the week, Luna had to relinquish the hit in the Turnbuckle Championship a week or so ago. So this match was to crown a Turnbuckle champion, a new one. Chris Aries, someone that has been there, seen it, and done it at Ignite. He's won the Ignite Championship before. He obviously was looking to become the turnbuckle champion, who, he pretty much thought we had the match, the triple threat match won at the last show in November, and is desperate to become Grand Slam champion. We weren't just going to put the title on him. He had to get the job done in the ring. He, of course, was accompanied by his good friend Arthur Scurro, who again appeased himself to the Shenley Road crowd. But the opponent for Chris, we had to choose someone who, we felt deserved an opportunity, and this young man, shall we say, who I've been watching very, very closely over the last few months. He debuted at Ignite in November, picked up a big win over Truman Roswell, and that was the Isaac Blair. And he really deserved the opportunity in this. I thought that he impressed me so much in November. He's impressed me at the 4 or 5 times I'd actually gone and saw him in shows outside of Ignite as well. And he was, very, very well deserving of the opportunity to face Chris Aries for this championship. And the Angel of War certainly lived up to his motto there. These two had a absolute strike fest of a match. They were throwing kicks around like there was no tomorrow. There was some great blocks in this, some really good sequences in this match from both. The crowd again was so up for this. They all wanted Isaac to win this match. And again, we talk about Tom Mercer having his sort of breakout year last year at Ignite. We spoke about Denzel Mack perhaps now having his breakout. Isaac Blair is probably in this conversation now to have to be having his big breakout at Ignite because he was absolutely fantastic in this match. There is no doubt in my mind that that kid is going to become a champion potentially at Ignite. Or everywhere because he is that good. I did say there potentially at Ignite because unfortunately on this occasion, Arthur Scurro gets involved. He again, someone that knows how to work a crowd, and they don't like him at all here at Ignite Wrestling. But he worked the crowd very, very well on the outside. He caused a few distractions, albeit apparently with no proof until I checked my phone and realized that he did indeed pushed Isaac off the top rope at one point during this contest. However, what I can say about Chris Aries is he is a phenomenal, phenomenal worker. He's a great, great wrestler, and he is now the new turnbuckle champion. He did indeed get the job done with a Sister Abigail. Alexa Bliss is kind of Sister Abigail DDT, I would say, but he's a man of many finishes. He did hit the Claymore kick in this one, and Isaac Blair sold it like his rent was due. He really connected with it as well, but there was some really hard hitting strikes in this matchup, and again, Isaac Blair absolutely showed out in this one. He's definitely coming back to Ignite, Gaita fans. I can tell you that for certain. He will be back at Ignite in the future. There is no doubt about this. What an absolute performer. But Grand Slam champion Chris Aries is now, well, he is now the champion. But at the end of this, he also signaled his intentions to become the first ever double champion at Ignite. Basically signaled his intentions to win the Ignite World Championship as well. That is going to be interesting. That's a conversation for me and CJ Carter to certainly be having in the future. However, he won't be having an opportunity in May. That I can guarantee you. He will be defending the Turnbuckle Championship in May. Without question, he will be defending an opponent to be named in due course. Keep your eyes to socials for that one. I think we all needed a break after that action-packed first half. I don't think anyone will disagree when I say that was some of the best action in Brit wrestling. You would find that action. And I've said this a lot about Ignite, and it isn't me being, biased because my championship's there. This is legitimacy as a fan talking here. You would find action like that in those top companies in Brit wrestling. There is no question. No one would disagree. And if you do disagree, that's fine. It's your opinion. You're wrong, but you would, it was just an incredible piece of action, incredible start to the show. And Ignite just showing you why they are one of the best in Brit Rest. Simple as that. Absolutely simple as that. Now, we returned from the intermission with the breakout, the 2026 breakout competition. Last year, of course, won by Tommy Tanner, the Ultimate Geezer. More on him in a bit. This one pitted three newbies to Ignite Wrestling. We love this. I think Ignite had their first international superstar in Jimmy Zero from Australia come on for this as well. He was taking on the big boss Tyson Keaton and Rebellion's Ryan Curran. Well, we didn't know he was going to be a part of the Rebellion at this point, but he was a part of the Rebellion, yeah, in other companies. And these three, again, some little contrast of styles with great mixed martial art background from Tyson Keaton. You had the heavy hitting of Ryan Curran, and you also had the excitement and the speed and the sort of high flyingness of Jimmy Zero. And this made for an excellent breakout contest. It really, really was. Could have gone either, or could have gone one of three ways. This one, it was really, really good. Again, the crowd are into it. They were very behind Jimmy and Tyson Keaton, not so much Ryan Curran, which is understandable. Ryan has what I call the proverbial big mouth in wrestling, and he likes to use it. The difference with Ryan Curran is he's actually got a really good in-ring excellence, in-ring ability as well, and he showcased that very well during this contest. Again, so exciting. And this is Ignite. This Ignite is all about this. This show, from top to bottom, epitomized Ignite. You are seeing some of the best up and coming talent in the UK scene showcased at Ignite Wrestling. You're not going to get it anywhere else. I'm sorry, you're not. You really are not. If you want the big names, go to the big shows. You'll get them. You'll get the Michael Okus and everyone like that. Ignite will tend to bring them in sporadically as and when they can. It's not what Ignite's about. Ignite is about what you saw, the people that you saw there last night, and the people that you're going to see there in the future. This is Ignite, and this is the only place you're going to see this. I'm sorry, this quality as well. You're only going to see it at Ignite Wrestling. Like I said, if you want the big names, by all means, go to the big shows. You'll get them, and you will eventually get the guys that are at Ignite. You just won't see them until you go to the bigger shows, right? But this is where this happens. And the breakout has been a huge part of now some of the top names in Brit wrestling. Nino Bryant was in the breakout division. Look what he's doing now. This is a prime example, right, of where you can go and what you can do. Tommy Tanner's already done it. A year, 18 months in the business, and he's already on the big shows. He won the breakout. This is the breakout is literally, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the biggest tournaments in Brit wrestling, and it goes so under the radar. But so many people that have been in this breakout competition have gone on to the bigger shows. To the big shows. That's not a disrespect when I say that to Ignite either. It really isn't. But we all know that there's a pyramid in Brit wrestling, and a lot of people are trying to get up that pyramid. And a lot of people will go through Ignite to get to that because they know they get booked from these shows from Ignite Wrestling. It is, and it happens so many times, and it will continue to happen. There's no doubt about that, and that's why Ignite have got an ever increasing conveyor belt of awesome talent, and these three showcase that in massive examples. And again, I've been watching Ryan Curran for many years, and for me, that was his best performance I've ever seen him. I don't think I've seen him in a better match. I have seen him in a tag match against the first class flyers, funnily enough. But in terms of one-on-one, or at least in a triple threat, I've seen him in a couple of triple threats. This was his best match, and it was the aforementioned Ryan Curran that picked up the victory, much to the chagrin of everybody in Shenley Road, barring Tom Mercer and Taylor James, who come out at the end of this match and welcomed him to the rebellion at Ignite. And yeah, we'll get into that in a bit more detail very shortly. But from there to what I classed as, I don't want to say teacher student because he hasn't been trained by him, but it's literally experienced head versus a younger. I don't know. He's not. I wouldn't say he's not experienced though, because he's been around the block a lot for someone that's 23, 24 years old. Jaden Williams was back. Swift Sonic was back at Ignite. Happy birthday, Jaden, by the way, as well. It was his birthday on the Saturday. He come to Ignite on the Sunday for the show, and his match with someone that again has been there, seen it, and done it in Ignite, and that is Corey McRae. And again, someone that's got championship aspirations. He was the longest, well, he still has been the longest reigning Ignite champion, and he wants that title back. And to get that title back, he has to go through Swift Sonic. And this was a struggle. I love this because this was like a real struggle for both men. Again, Corey McRae, the mixed martial arts background. He's like if I put him as a WWE, he's like an Aleister Black. He's got educated feet. He knows how to use them. Jaden Williams is just this slugger, a real slugger. And he's a champion in so many other promotions. So he knows how to get the job done in the ring. And he really gave Corey a test in this one. This was, I said, this was a real slog of a match. The crowd are always going to love Corey McRae. There's no doubt about it. He is one of the much loved guys there. Funny enough, when I was there, when I first started joining it, going to Ignite, he was one of the most hated people there. So it's funny how things can switch around. And yeah, thanks to Truman Roswell and some big matches as well. I mean, Corey McRae took Luke Jacobs to the limit. Buckle up a year or two ago. He's one of Corey is one of the best guys in Brit Rest. Again, some of this untapped talent and people that, just haven't had the opportunities yet. When we Ignite, will keep those opportunities and keep giving him the opportunities while he's there for sure. And this was fantastic. This was a real slog of a match. Jaden Williams absolutely held his own in the ring here against Corey McRae. It was a slog, and but Corey McRae did get the victory with a suplex knee drop. He did pick up the victory, and again signaled his intentions at the Ignite World Championship. The Ignite champion, we'll get into that in a minute, has got a target on his back, and it's ever growing at Ignite, and that's a great thing to have. Unless you're the champion, of course, because you've got a lot of enemies that want that gold. But congratulations to Corey McRae, and you know what? Jaden Williams will 1,000,000% be back at Ignite because he is a super talented, swift, sonic wrestler. Um, Main event, and it was for the Ignite World Championship. It was Tommy Tanner cashing in that breakout opportunity that I keep talking about. And surprisingly, and with Tommy Tanner, he was cashing in a triple threat, which is quite incredible, really, when it comes to it. Because when you've got a breakout opportunity, you wouldn't necessarily want to cash it in against two other people. You'd want to cash it in against the champion, but not in this case. Tommy Tanner decided that he was going to do it against Tommy Kyle, who, you know, that guy. I can't speak highly enough of Tommy Kyle. Absolutely brilliant talent. Again, he had a serious injury, and he come back, again about 18 months ago, and he has never looked back since coming back. He has been on the run of his life, and he's soon to be going to Japan. He's going to be at the May show, and then he's going to be off to Japan. And again, that someone that deserves a big opportunity out there is Tommy Kyle, and I hope that Japan love him and invite him back because he deserves it. He really, really does. And again, they were going against the Ignite World Champion, Taylor James, who now has more backup than ever before. He brought out Tom Mercer and Ryan Curran to this match. And before the match started, they got kicked out. And rightfully so. Tom Mercer and Ryan Curran got kicked out to the back, and the match begun. And this was a thrill a minute, drama filled match. These three all wanted, well, Taylor wanted to retain, the other two wanted to win. It had so much drama in this. The crowd, they were really split between the two Tommies. They hate Taylor, no surprise. But they really were split. There was a lot of Tommy Tanner chants. There's a lot of Tommy Kyle chants. Those two really were loving it. Well, the crowd were loving them, shall we say? And yeah, Taylor was just getting booed. But we couldn't keep the rebellion away. Curran and Mercer come back into this. They took out Tanner. It was then left to Taylor and Tommy in the ring. Those two were competing for it. Uh, it's just, yeah, those two really kind of ruined what was a really good match. But they may have tried to ruin the match, but they didn't ruin the result. And the result of the match was Tommy Tanner becoming the new Ignite Wrestling champion, hits the 450 splash on Taylor James, and wins the championship. The crowd at Shenley Road went absolutely bananas. That was the biggest. That was the biggest cheer ever. The biggest one before that was Smashing Mike when he became the inaugural Turnbuckle champion. That was the biggest one, but it's now been taken over by the victory from Tommy Tanner. That was crazy. The crowd loved it. Tommy Kyle got a really big cheer as well when he beat Spike Trevay and Tate Mayfair's a couple of year or so ago as well. But nevertheless, Tommy Tanner got the victory to be done. Got the victory done, sorry, and become the new Ignite champion. And congratulations to Tommy Tanner. But we must address what happened at backstage and what spilled into the foyer with the fans, and that's the rebellion. Taylor James, Tool Tom, Ryan Curran come backstage. Lots of commotion with CJ Carter. I had to hold CJ back. Taylor was furious that CJ Carter booked him in a triple threat. Very much sour grapes from Taylor James. You want look, you're a champion. People are going to want to face you, right? Just because you've had two triple threats in a row, you won one and you've lost. Get over it. Get back in the line. But no, he screamed at CJ Carter outside, backstage behind the curtain. Lots of commotion again. I was having to hold CJ back. He was going crazy. They held back the rebellion. The rebellion then went upstairs to get changed. But minutes after that, I literally went upstairs to speak to Isaac and congratulate him for his match in the Turnbuckle Championship. I didn't realize I was being followed by the rebellion behind me. They come into the foyer screaming for CJ Carter. And again, a massive commotion airs backstage in the foyer with the rebellion. They were kicking off. Chris was kicking off. I say Chris, he is CJ Carter, but his name's Chris. Hey, it is what it is. Um, and just they just crossed the line. The rebellion crossed the line. This was in front of the majority of the Ignite fans are kids. They're kids with their families, and they were taking pictures with the other wrestlers. They were getting some merchandise. They didn't need this. The rebellion unnecessarily kicking off. Chris's dad gets involved as well in this, and it was just a real sour way to end what was an incredible show. They crossed the line. The rebellion crossed the line yesterday, and it was uncalled for, unnecessary. And as I keep saying on the social media post, every reaction has a consequence. I'm sure Ignite are going to bring something out about this. I'm sure there's going to be something going on. Taylor James has already threatened not to appear at the next show. Well, I don't really care if you or your little goons want to come to the show next time. You're not welcome, that's for certain. I can say that from me. I don't want to see you. The last people I want to see at a show are you three now. And unfortunately, with Ryan Curran winning his opportunity, unless CJ Carter takes the opportunity away from him, he will be at a show, a future Ignite show. That will be in November when we crown a breakout winner. But they sour the show, and hopefully they don't come back in May. Hopefully we don't see the rebellion, but we'll wait and see. But who we want to see in May is each and every one of you. Now tickets have already started going for the May show, May 3rd, the end game. Go to 96 Eventbrite, type in Ignite Wrestling, you will see it there, and you will see that tickets are already going off the shelf. I think nearly 50 have been sold already. That's nearly a quarter of the way to filling up Shenley Road within 24 hours of this show going out. That just shows you how impressed everybody was, how excited everybody was, and how everyone can't wait for Ignite to come back in May. Questions will need to be answered about a lot of things. Who's going to be the first person to step up to Chris Aries? Who's going to be the first person to step up to Tommy Tanner? Who are the next people in the breakout? I know who they are because I chose them. So I know exactly what we've got coming up on the breakout. And let me guarantee you this, these two hungry talents will be tearing the roof down at Shenley Road come Mayfield. You don't want to miss the breakout match for certain in there. And of course, what's going to happen after what we saw at the end and into the foyer. We'll find out, I'm sure, in the next few days, but I'm sure they'll have some more comeuppance come the end game. Coming up on here, though, LJ Cleary will be coming up this week, everyone. Another UK sensation, UK and Ireland sensation. You may know his fiancee, Lyra Valkyria, in the WWE. But yeah, keep a look out at that. Review shows will be dropping left, right, and centre as well. But until next time, everybody, I'm going to catch my breath and enjoy the week. You guys enjoy the week. Keep enjoying the channel as well. Until the next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.